Hello and welcome to this very special episode of the show. In light of the recent elections in Jamaica, we are joined by Andrew Holness, who was with us in the UK last year. That's all coming up right now on the Sylbourne Show.
Do you want a hassle-free experience to buy, build or sell a property in the Caribbean? Perhaps you want a similar experience to deal with another type of property matter in this beautiful part of the world. Whatever your property matter in the Caribbean may be, Tropical Connections will ensure that your experience is one that you'll remember for all the right reasons.
Welcome to the show. This interview was held back due to the recent elections that have gone on in Jamaica, and we wanted to find the outcome of these elections before releasing this episode. Andrew Holness, welcome to the show, sir.
Thanks for having me, Sylbourne.
Well, you know, we're in London, England, and, not in Jamaica all the time, so, we might have a little slight little twisting in the citation for your title.
Don't make too much of it.
Don't make too much of it. Fantastic. Well, sir, welcome again to the show, and welcome again to the UK, because earlier you were here, I think a few weeks ago, I saw you at the Kensington where you're speaking to the Diaspora. A very exciting and charged atmosphere. You should have been there. But before I go any further, I want to just go straight into politics, because you're a politician. For the audience watching, can you give us a brief overview of your political career as a point of reference? Like, set the stage as we delve deeper into you, the man.
Well, for me, politics is a calling.
Yes.
It's something that I feel that I was born to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I see myself as the servant leader. I feel that I have a duty to serve my people,
Yes.
serve my country. I feel that I am a part of a generation of Jamaicans
Mm-hmm.
who would want to see Jamaica take its rightful place among
Right.
the developed countries in the world.
Right.
We feel we have the resources and the potential to do it, but we've
Yes.
just not fulfilled it. So I feel that my duty
Yes.
is to help Jamaica to fulfill its true potential.
Right.
And I've dedicated my life to that.
Mm-hmm.
I started in politics at a very early age.
Mm-hmm.
When I was at university. When I left university, my first job was in social work.
Okay.
Having
Yeah.
done a degree in management studies and economics,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to go and work in a city community with a
Yes.
voluntary organization. And that was to get the experience
Yes.
on the ground. It so happens that the former Prime Minister, former leader of the opposition, Edward Siaga, found me
Okay.
and invited me to work with him. And I spent several years with him,
Mm-hmm.
working as his personal assistant,
Right.
working in his office and in his business, actually. And then at the age of 25,
Mm-hmm.
I decided to take on a constituency.
Okay.
It was a very difficult experience, can you imagine? For
Is that the same constituency?
same constituency.
constituency.
I'm representing that constituency now for more than 18 years.
Oh, wow.
And it was a landmark
Mm-hmm.
challenge, effectively,
Well, you were
because
the youngest not the youngest, youngest member of parliament.
I
at
was
that
the
time.
second youngest
Mhm.
member of parliament at the time. Bruce Golding holds the record
Okay.
at 24, and I was just a few months older than he was at 25.
Okay. Now, that's very interesting. And one of the reasons, Andrew, Minister Holness, Andrew Holness, why we brought you on the show was because the show is about inspiring, motivating, educational, entertaining. And we try to find that angle. And what we find about yourself, sir, is inspirational. Why? Because of the youth factor. There's always this youth factor element whereby we're seeing a lot of leaders, very elderly. Some people say, actually, they are calling certain houses in Jamaica the old age home. So that's by the way. But there's that element of you. And also...
Well, let's not dismiss age.
No, we're not
So
dismissing
age
yes.
has the benefit of experience.
Yes.
And, you know, they say that experience is the wickedest teacher.
Yes.
It sets the exam, and then it teaches you the lesson.
Yes.
So people who have age, they have gone through that.
Yes.
And people with youth, their job is to learn from people with experience. And people with experience also have a duty to mentor and guide those with youth. So if youth and age work together, you have an unbeatable combination.
So therefore, there's got to be a balancing factor.
Yes.
And therefore, those that are elderly must know when to step down as well.
As I said, those who are experienced must recognize that their role transitions, and that youth has energy, but youth needs guidance with experience. So there's different roles in the development process.
There was a few years ago, I was in Jamaica, and I wanted to meet you, and we met at a hotel briefly, and you took me to meet the Prime Minister of Jamaica. I'll never forget that day, because I look back at times and I realized you became the Prime Minister. And I remember when you introduced me to that Prime Minister then, and it was very interesting. And then after a while, being in the UK, of course, we follow what is happening in Jamaica. You became the youngest ever Prime Minister as well.
Yes.
That is correct. How was that experience?
Well, you know, I've always felt that that was in my destiny, and that was my purpose of being. So I felt as if I was, you know, fulfilling my destiny, but I have not fulfilled my mission as yet.
Right. Okay. It is safe to assume that you'll be standing in the next general election of Jamaica, which where constitutional is next year.
Next year, constitutional review.
What do you think are the greatest challenges facing Jamaica today, and what is your vision for overcoming these challenges for the country at large? That's Jamaica.
Jamaica faces several problems on a multidimensional level. If you ask me from an economic perspective, our greatest problem is a lack of growth.
Yes.
But if you drill down into that, then we could say our greatest problem would be the high debt. If you drill further, then you would begin to say that we have a problem in the education system. We have a problem with crime and violence. And we have a problem with infrastructure and energy. So we have some really profound problems that require, I would say, innovative solutions, but it requires strong and visionary leadership as well.
That's very interesting. So therefore, with the current governance in Jamaica, what would you say are maybe their greatest, what should I say, shortfalls, and how would you, as the new Prime Minister, if you win, seek to address that?
Well, when we win,
Yeah.
the first thing we'll do is tackle the growth problem.
Yes.
I think the government has the strategy in reverse. But let me just back up a bit.
Yes.
I think that the present government has an implementation deficit.
Yes.
So they make grand announcements, but they don't do anything. That stems from a deeper problem, in that they have a vision problem.
Right.
They lack vision, and they don't really have a big picture for Jamaica. They're moribund of ideas. But outside of that, they seem to have the growth strategy wrong.
Yes.
So they believe that they have to tackle the debt problem before they can grow. The big difference with us is that we feel that we have to grow in order to tackle the debt problem.
Right.
So there are two different approaches to the economic problem. So we agree, and we've always agreed, that debt is a major problem.
Right.
But you're not going to solve the debt problem by putting in place austerity.
Right.
The experience around the world is that austerity contracts your economy, and you may get stability, but it is not necessarily the case that you will grow.
Right.
You have to be instrumental, direct, deliberate, intentional in your pursuit of growth. So for us, it is growth that will help us to pay down the debt.
Okay. In the UK, and just like last couple of weeks ago when you're in the Diaspora big meeting there in Kensington, what was very crucial was hearing your vision for the diaspora. And so that Jamaicans living abroad here, many of them have been asking this question many times. How can we vote? We would like to vote. And I think this is something which has been saying for a long time. What if you become Prime Minister? How committed would you be to this goal and guarantee that you give those in the diaspora the right to vote, and logistically your views in regards to that?
Well, you know, I made the suggestion. I wasn't asked.
Yes.
I put it forward.
Yes.
Because I thought it was important to show a sign of commitment to the diaspora. Now, let's face it. The diaspora, whether it is in the UK, in the US, or in Canada, has its political alignments. Jamaica's political divide is strong.
Yes.
And people retain it when they leave Jamaica.
Yeah.
So, you know, there are some people who will agree and some people who will disagree because of who made the suggestion.
Right.
So there is a large part of the diaspora who probably is not looking at the common sense of the idea,
Right.
but rather which party made it.
Right.
But then there are those who have liberated themselves of political bias and have come to look at ideas rather than personalities. And I think that giving the diaspora a say in Jamaica is a progressive move. Now, I find it, interesting that the UK would maintain a Commonwealth. And a Commonwealth is the transition out of empire.
Yes.
It's a way of maintaining British influence around the world by linking former British subjects with a common law,
Yeah.
a common system of bureaucracy, a common language. So for people in Britain and for former subjects of Britain, it's a Commonwealth.
Right.
But Jamaica technically has the same.
How would-
There are Jamaicans who still maintain their culture,
Yes.
their way of speaking, and their way of life, even though they're resident here. Jamaica ought to tap into that
Yes.
as its Commonwealth. And what we need to do as a sign of strengthening this diaspora, which should be really called our Commonwealth,
Yes.
is to say, listen, we want you, members of the diaspora who have decided to move to another country, who have decided to invest in other countries, to take back some of that wealth and root it in Jamaica. Not just the remittances to support the consumption of the families you left behind, but we want you, just as though you're moving to Spain or Portugal or even Ghana and owning second homes, I want you to come and own second homes in Jamaica. Just as how you would, go to visit Miami or San Francisco or Paris.
Well,
I want you to come and visit Jamaica as tourists and spend there.
I want you to stick a point on that point.
So my point
is
for that to happen and for people to start thinking that it's not just remittances, it's investment.
Yes.
People need to feel that there is a voice representing the Jamaicans who have migrated, but who are still connected to the country.
The constituency, how would that work with a constituency level?
Well, Jamaicans in Jamaica would be a little bit cautious about having people who are not experiencing the problems there having a determination as to who the government should be.
Yes.
The truth is that there are as many Jamaicans living overseas than are in Jamaica.
Or even more, if anything,
But we get around this problem. The French have done it, the Italians have done it.
South Africans do it a lot, yes.
Yeah. They assign one constituency to the diaspora. So that's just one voice in Parliament. It doesn't affect the balance either way.
Yeah.
But that person doesn't have to be a member of a political party. And in fact, you could write that into the Constitution, that they have to be independent. And they would be able to raise diaspora issues in the Parliament. If you look at what the Parliament is not just the platform for passing laws, it's the platform for debating policies.
So, Mr. Holness, so what you're saying then is you are mandated to, not maybe that it may happen in your term, but to fuel
Start the ball.
To start the ball rolling.
Listen, if you still have your Jamaican citizenship,
I still do.
you can go back to Jamaica, prove that you've resided there for 2 years, and you can vote in the next election once you're enumerated.
Yes.
And there are many Jamaicans who come back and vote. So the idea of the diaspora voting is not new. They do so now.
But what we're talking about is that person who may be visiting from Jamaica to the UK for 6 months, and then a snap election is called. Wouldn't it be good if they could just go straight to the High Commission instead of cutting their holidays?
Now, what I'm saying is, so they would be voting for a diaspora representative who would represent their issues in the House of Parliament. And it would be a good sign to say to the diaspora, we respect you enough to have you in our Parliament. I visited the UK, and I got the complaints that there is an incredible amount of philanthropy in the UK and in the US and in Canada, people who want to help. My own uncle used to call me every summer to tell me he needs assistance in clearing a container of hospital supplies that he got here, free of cost, to donate to hospitals in Jamaica.
Do you want a hassle-free experience to buy, build or sell a property in the Caribbean? Perhaps you want a similar experience to deal with another type of property matter in this beautiful part of the world. Whatever your property matter in the Caribbean may be, Tropical Connections will ensure that your experience is one that you'll remember for all the right reasons.